What I mean is to say that a happy channel. I don't know what I say, man. That. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and in this episode, the Nagus, we have a number of background things about the Ferengi we didn't know about. Now, in the original series, they were described as something like Yankee traders, which was not very descriptive, honestly, and it's been up to Deep Space Nine to basically round out this whole race of beings. And one of the things we learn is that the Ferengi Alliance is ruled by a Grand Nagus. The Grand Nagus is someone who is kind of like a gang boss. He sees what the opportunities are, other people bring to him, and apparently he gets some kind of percentage out of it all. That's what it would seem like. At any rate, the Nagus visits Deep Space Nine and is Quark's guest. And we have a B story between Nog and Jake, which is kind of interesting. The idea that a Ferengi playmate might be a bad influence on Jake is kind of played at, but really, in the end, the Starfleet ideals come through. But really, the interesting part of this episode is, first of all, the introduction of the rules of acquisition. We see number 1 and number 6 in this particular one. Now, there are supposedly over 100 rules of acquisition that every good Ferengi has to memorize before he becomes an adult, and that's released in a different episode as well. A lot of Ferengi background is distributed over a large number of episodes. However, rule number 1, once you get their money, you never give it back. And rule number 6, never allow family to stand in the way of opportunity. So this is their rules of essentially greed and avarice, which they're showing that this is not an unusual case for Quark. It has to do with the entire race of Ferengis. They are all after it for the money, and they'll do almost anything for it. There is somewhat of a moral code there, but most of it is just how you make money and keep it. They also show that the Ferengi eats a grub-like food. They are not ones who would be all that interested in beef stew, so they eat some kind of worms and grubs and bugs and things like that, and they show that for the first time here. The Grand Nagus's name is Zach, and this isn't the first time that we will see him, although in the episode he apparently dies, and during that they have his funeral, and they show the Ferengi rites at a funeral, which they desiccate the body of the deceased, break it up into several dishes of what would appear to be ashes, although it's desiccant rather than ashes, and they sell each part of it off to the highest bidder. So what we have this time is that Quark is fairly normal, or perhaps a little less ambitious than some Ferengis are. And the relationship between he and his brother Rom is kind of interesting. After Rom tries to kill him, he then buys him a drink because he admires the fact that he'd be willing to do that just for money. And that is the Ferengi for you. It's played in a very light vein, and you really don't think that Quark is going to continue to be the Grand Nagus from the beginning, that it has to be some kind of setup, and in fact it was. But it all ends fairly nicely. Odo has a good part in this, once again kind of cementing this friendship that is unspoken between him and Quark. And Sisko having to deal with a 14-year-old son. And in an exchange with O'Brien, one of my favorite lines in here is, O'Brien says, well, you should just go and tell him what he has to do. And Sisko says, well, there's a difference. Your child is 3 and my child is 14. When yours gets to be 14, let me know how you do. So it was kind of a nice exchange there. O'Brien stuck teaching school while Keiko is on Earth visiting relatives or something, and the difficulty of dealing with Jake and Nog. So thank you for watching, and please let me know what you think about this below. I'm interested in seeing what you think. And also, while you're there, if you've not subscribed already, please do so. And if you would do one extra step and click a like, I would appreciate it. So until next time, when we'll have another retro review of the original series that's coming tomorrow. And of course, the last episode, which will deal with the Gorn from Strange New Worlds. Last episode of this season, and who knows when we'll see the next season due to the strike and such. That we'll be here with that. However, once that's done with, we're going to start reviews of Babylon 5, and that should be interesting too. I hope it is. So until then, don't go far.